Justin Turpin, will you remember where you were the night that Baylor Scheierman scored his career-high 20 points against the Brooklyn Nets?
Wasn't that last week he set a new career high?
No.
He did it again?
That was tonight.
He did it again?
That was tonight against the Brooklyn Nets. You'll remember you were here in TD Garden because there were a couple moments when this place exploded, like they weren't playing a team that was fairly certainly out of the Eastern Conference playoff picture. In the Brooklyn Nets, Meghan Ottolini of WEI, of course, with Justin Turpin. And the story tonight, of course, is Baylor Scheierman. As I said, career high 20 points. But what we heard from Joe Mazzulla just now post-game was a lot of praise of everything else that he did on the floor. And that was apparent, and he was the spark plug that the Celtics really needed tonight when Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were both out.
And Joe's been very consistent with that. Even last week when he was asked about Baylor Scheierman, he made sure to point out that if he wants to succeed in this league, he has to defend. And I've been really impressed with his minutes away from the threes tonight, just in general, the hustle plays. He was diving all over the floor again tonight. He had an excellent offensive rebound. I mean, he makes those winning plays. And if you're going to crack a rotation that's as talented as the Celtics rotation is, you have to make plays like that. And I think Joe Mazzulla was giving him honest credit, but didn't want to pump him up too much because he understands he's still a rookie and doesn't want to give him all that yet.
Absolutely. When I was walking over to do the post-game press conferences, I was hearing Melissa Valdez, the in-arena host here, talk to Derek White coming off the court and saying, what changed for you guys after halftime? And he said it really was Baylor. And I think it's awesome to hear him get his flowers, which is a term that's completely overused. But I think he really changed the momentum tonight, and they needed that. And the way that this team came out was unfortunately so flat without both the Jays out there. And so I do think that he deserves that credit.
Yeah, Brooklyn had 6 threes in the second half. Baylor Scheierman had 5. I mean, he almost matched them single-handedly. And that changes when your offense is sputtering. You're not getting anything going. Really, Kristaps Porzingis, you and I were texting during the game. Kristaps Porzingis was the only Celtic that got off the bus in the first half. Derek White got it going a little bit in the third quarter. And then it was Baylor Scheierman that really took him home because if, say, he misses – only makes 2 threes. We're talking about a lot different of a game because Brooklyn again made it close down the stretch.
Scheierman was 6 for 7 from the 3-point line tonight, which is unreal. But what I think was most unreal was the moment in which he has this dress rehearsal of a near buzzer beater, and then he actually gets to hit the buzzer beater right after that. You just don't see those moments. If a guy makes it and it doesn't count and goes for it again, it's always the, oh, like that was ice in the veins, that moment.
And I think that's something that Joe Mazzulla will also be very happy about, closing the quarter with a shot like that. And I know sometimes it's one of those circus shots, right? He made one, it didn't count, then he makes the next one. I mean, he's going to be happy about that because that's the little details that matter. And I thought it was interesting, too, that Joe Mazzulla after the game was like, well, he did it in 20 minutes, but Torrey Craig was just as efficient and won his role.
As a 34-year-old vet.
As a 34-year-old vet, he did note that. And that's how detail-oriented he is. So if Baylor's going to hit big shots like that, and granted, I mean, with Jason and Jaylen on the floor, is he always going to have the ball in his hands at the end of the quarter? Maybe not. But if he's going to make plays like that, and beyond, like you said, beyond the three-point shooting, that's how he wins a role. That's how he gets minutes. And I don't know if it'll happen come the playoffs, just because we know the top 9 of this rotation is set. We know it's the top 6, Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, and Luke Cornett. There's really no minutes there for a rookie. But one of the big things, too, is aside from just looking towards what you can see in the postseason with these final 13 now games remaining, you also want to see, like, what can you build off for next year? Because you know the second apron, and I don't want to kill the vibes right before the postseason, but you know the second apron's going to come kind of ravage this team in the next couple seasons. So what do you have? You know, the young talent on the team is so much more important because of that limitation that's coming up. So you like moments like this where you can just build off that.
Absolutely. And you talked about how Joe Mazzulla post-game highlighted Torrey Craig as well. I do think part of that is continuing to foster the competitiveness. Even if you're at the very end of the bench, you're going to be most likely out of the rotation for the playoffs. Whether you're a 24-year-old or a 34-year-old, you're fighting for your minutes and your opportunities as they come over these next 13 games. The Celtics embark on a 6-game road trip coming up, their longest of this season, I believe. You can fact check me on that.
Yes.
And it's going to be a lot of games like this, to be honest. I would expect they're not seeing a lot of real contenders out in the Western Conference. That's not any disrespect to anybody, but the toughest teams that they'll see are probably Sacramento,
Phoenix,
and the Suns. And those are teams that are flirting with play-in status.
Right. Only 2 of those teams have a winning record moving forward, and one of them's New York, and it's the 3rd to last game of the year. And I mean, Thibodeau will probably play his guys because he's built that reputation.
Because he's crazy.
Yeah, but will Joe Mazzulla? Like, I don't know. That's a little close to comfort when you're getting up and ramping towards the postseason. So yeah, you're right. It's probably going to look a lot like this. And when you have nights like we've kind of seen, it feels like it's been like this for a little bit though with the Celtics. Like guys have been in and out of the lineup. Everyone's kind of known the top 3 seeds in the East are set. And Joe Mazzulla wouldn't admit that pregame. He said nothing's locked up yet. Like we're still fighting. We need to win. And I think he understands though. Like that's why Jason and Jalen didn't play tonight, because they are starting to ramp up towards the postseason. But that's why it's important for guys like Baylor Scheierman. Like this is essentially their audition. And I think Baylor Scheierman would be the first to tell you that the first couple months of his rookie season were not great. He really didn't do much great, especially when the 3-ball wasn't falling. But now you're seeing him gain the confidence, and he looks a lot more comfortable. He doesn't look like that shy, timid rookie that we saw even a month and a half ago. He looks comfortable, and Joe Mazzulla mentioned it twice, that comes with time, that comes with being in the league, that comes with being around the team. And you're starting to see that with Baylor Scheierman.
Yeah, absolutely. Just one other note that I wanted to highlight is, of course, Kristaps Porzingis.
Yes.
As we said before, he was really the only one who came out of the gate with any kind of, I don't know, force, any kind of momentum at the beginning of the game. But this is the second game that he's been back from what he said was one of the worst illnesses that he's experienced.
He believes it was bronchitis.
As a
Have you ever had
basketball player, I haven't. It's horrendous, and
either.
it can take a really long time to get over. So I think he looks as healthy as can be, knock on wood, as you always do. But he's shooting outstandingly. I know that you had a stat that you're like
16 of 18.
You're trying to
inside the arc. I got it. No, I fact checked it. 16 of 18 inside the arc, and he's been to the free throw line 14 times or 14 attempts.
So that looks excellent. We're seeing Drew Holiday trying to get back into form. So like as we are going to see the rotations be funky, the lineups be funky in these last 13 games, there also is a need to get those guys back out there, even just from a basketball conditioning perspective, to be ready for the playoffs.
And so far, I think that's been mission accomplished. I mean, Drew was outstanding in Miami. On Friday night in New York, he had 12 assists, 8 assists. Yeah, the Dr. Evil had 8 assists tonight, though he didn't really shoot the ball at an efficient clip. For the most part, his percentages haven't been bad when he's been back from the mallet finger, which still doesn't sound pleasant. The more you say it, the worse it sounds.
Neither of these issues do. Mallet finger or bronchitis. Like, I don't want to choose between either of them.
And for Kristaps, this was just a perfect landing zone. Like, right, you come back on a Saturday in Brooklyn, then you get Brooklyn again on Tuesday. Now they get a couple days off before they play Utah. Like, this is a good landing spot for him, because we've seen it the last 2 games. They just don't have anyone that can guard him. Like, he's a mismatch problem for majority of the league, and Brooklyn certainly is one of those teams.
Absolutely. All right, Turp, we're almost in the home stretch.
That's right.
13 games left. As I said, big 6-game road trip, but we'll still have tons of content for you on weei.com, on our YouTube channel, and all our social channels on Twitter and Instagram. Thanks so much for watching.